I thank each of you for tuning in to Candid with Candy. I am your host, Candy. Thank you for all the love and support since my launch 25 days ago. I appreciate all the feedback and I request you to keep them coming. My next guest is spontaneous, bold, and daring. She's someone who gives two hoots to haters and lives life in her own terms. But was she always like this? Let's hear my next guest unravel her story. A dear, dear friend who I'm so happy and so honored to have on my show, Aruna Laishram, all the way from Bangalore, India. Hi, Aruna.
Hi Candy, how are you?
I'm good and I'm so happy to see you.
Same here, Candy. Thank you so much for having me in your show.
Can you let the viewers know where you are right now and what you do for a living, and then we'll jump right into the questions.
Sure, Candy. Well, right now I'm in the Garden City, or also known as the Silicon Valley of India, which is Bangalore. I'm working with a small finance bank in HR L&D. So that's where I am now.
Great. Thank you for that quick and short introduction. So, why I wanted to have you on the show is obviously because you are a very unique individual, somebody that I really enjoy spending time with, one of my best friends, and we've come a long way together. You and I clicked the first time we met. Thank you again for all the good times that we've had so far. And with that, I also know that you have quite a lot of stories to share from your first days in Delhi. You and I both came to Delhi at a different time, but I remember you telling me the kind of things that you had to face when you first went to Delhi. So if you can begin your story with that.
Yeah, okay. Long back, that's a story. I think I came to Delhi way back in 1995. And at that point in time, there weren't too many people from the northeastern part of the country. So I went there to study. I did my graduation. So I remember from the moment that I landed in Delhi, how people would look at you differently. And I remember the struggle of getting getting into a college and things like that. So it was very different from what it was back home. So one thing is they'll ask you which country are you from when I was asking for the forms. And I would be so surprised, I'm like, in India itself, they'll ask me, where are you from? I'd say Shillong. They'll say, oh, is that Ceylon, which is, Sri Lanka? I was like, oh God, do I look like a Sri Lankan now? All right. So that was one, which is identity crisis. I had to keep explaining people that I'm an Indian. People calling you names, names of dishes, or maybe country. And, I don't know, it was something which I really did not expect in, the capital city where I thought people were far more educated and far more aware of, the entire country.
You didn't feel welcome, right? If to sum it up.
No, not at all. One is the way we look, also the way we dress up and carry ourselves, and probably even our taste in music, or this generally the way we are. I think we're so misunderstood. And people, ignorance, right? People don't know you and they assume you to be something else altogether, and they don't look at you in the good light. It was a big struggle.
So Aruna, how did that make you feel?
Well, frankly, Candy, it made me feel anger. I mean, there were a lot of phases, all right? Anger, there was hatred. There was a point where I didn't like my looks also. I felt I should have looked like any one of them. Maybe then half the problem would have gone. So I felt really isolated. I cried at times. I felt I was being targeted, very left out. So it was a point where you it was just down. You felt down and out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then, how did you eventually start thriving in that environment? Because by the time you left Delhi, you had become a completely, evolved person, if I were to put it that way. So
Right.
eventually, how did you thrive, right?
So where we come from, Candy. Right? We are very simple, very innocent, right? We don't really know how to, fight back or to, retaliate. So I remember a time when my sister said that, you can't be this meek and quiet, right? You've got to be vocal about things. You've got to, express your mind. You can't keep things lying around. So I felt that, I think that a moment where I, started observing things, I realized one thing is I need to connect with people as well.
Mhm.
So I started learning the language because Hindi wasn't, it didn't come really easy for me because you realize, right? Back home, we don't really speak so much in Hindi.
Right.
So, yeah, so one of the tactics was learning the language, getting to know more people. And, when they got to know you as well, they realized that, we are just like any one of them, right? So we'd exchange food, we'd give tips on each other on how to dress up and, a lot of these things. And I remember, friends or colleagues would tell me, why don't you get this thing from your back home, from your hometown? So it could be a bag or things like, we started exchanging things and we started connecting. I think so. One thing is, I realized that I needed to change myself,
Right.
you know and really adapt to that particular situation, environment. One thing I think is very important is you've got to be vocal about things
Yeah.
and say it, right? I think that made a lot of difference.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. And why this is also so important is because, there's still a lot of youth out there in these various cities from the northeastern part, and many of them still go through, the racial issues. And so many of them just give in, right? They just give in, or they give up, and they pack their bags and go back home. And a lot of talent gets wasted like that. Their education is hampered, and a lot of issues happen, right? So it's really
Mhm.
important for the youth to know that there is a way. And if you really want to do something, your environment, even if it's not as conducive, you can still find a way. And I think you and I are living examples of those, and I hope that people learn from this.
Absolutely, Candy. I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
A lot of times people tend to give up very easily, and people have, from our side, we're very sensitive,
Yeah.
and little bit of comment, and we get hurt very easily, and it's very easy to give up.
Mhm.
But I think what really makes, if you really want to um, make it, you've got to be resilient. Be there. There are good people who will support you. Okay, it's not so dark and gloomy. I think you've just got to go out and try it, and you will eventually make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The idea is not to give up.
You and I
Absolutely.
have made really, really good friends and family along the way. So yeah. Okay, with that, I know there's an interesting twist in your life as well. You suddenly called me up one day and said, I'm heading to Australia. And I remember just going, what? And you've been known for these things, right? If I may call you, you were very impulsive, and you nobody really knew, what you were going to do next. So if you could just tell us a little bit about your stint in Australia, why you went there and why you came back.
Sure, Candy. Well, so I remember, yeah, I wanted to basically get out of Delhi. One, yeah, how the weather condition is; it's so hot, and I also wanted to have a change in career, and I wanted to try out something else. and so I thought, why not give it a try at, hair and makeup. And that was something which is completely out of the blue. All right, so even my family didn't know what she was going to study, what I was going to study. So I'm one of those, you're right, absolutely. I just decide someday and I just go along with it. And yeah. So I reach Melbourne and I go to the school, and then, that's when reality hits you, right? You're surrounded with mannequins, and the whole day what you're doing is combing hair and washing them and drying them. And to a certain, you know, point where I felt, what am I actually doing over there, right? And I would eventually, in the class, be helping out various, people from different countries who were not able to speak in English. I'm teaching them how to speak in English. I'm teaching them how to give presentations. So that's one aspect, where I felt, hairdressing is something which is not my cup of tea. I think I would want somebody to cut my hair and groom me. Because it was quite laborious as well. You've got to stand, and you have this heavy blow drying machine and things like that. So one aspect was that I felt like a misfit again over there. Second thing is, I kind of missed India, although I was with my sister. But life is very different over there, living with your sister and brother-in-law, because sometimes you'd feel that you're maybe unwanted. And it was a difficult choice. And I had a long thought, and then I thought, if I stayed on and did something which I was really unhappy, I would be wasting my life. So again, one day I just decided that I want to go back. So yeah, then I came back to India without a job, but yeah, it just took me about a month and I was able to bounce back.
How many months were you there in Melbourne?
I think 5 months.
So an expensive mistake, as you call it.
Yeah. Yes,
But
but
I think,
I think every mistake there is a lesson. When I take sessions on change management or anything about that, examples like this, I think when you do something which is life changing, right, it helps
oh yeah,
to understand that mistakes are important, and don't be afraid to make mistakes, because later on you have these stories to
share.
talk about and laugh at it. So yeah.
What I miss most
So,
about India, though, is the chaos. I remember one day, I'm like, why is everything so quiet? And I just woke up and I'm like, oh my God, I miss the vehicles passing by, the animals on the road, maybe, and, people just mindlessly blowing their horns. So that's something that I really miss because it's so damn quiet sometimes. You can actually what they call pin drop silence is something that I think I
yes.
experienced here for the first time. And yeah, I really miss the chaos.
Yeah, I felt the same as well. It was too quiet, and too quiet for your comfort.
Okay, great. So the last question is going to be probably the most difficult one. Being single, especially as a woman in India, is a big stigma. So I just want to understand from you, how you deal with all the judgment that possibly comes almost every day, and how do you take all of this in your stride?
Ah, okay, very interesting question.
One.
Well, you know, uh, one is, a lot of people think that you are single because, all right, you have health issues. Are you straight? Are you gay? Are you lesbian? All right, or I don't know. There are multiple things.
Mentally
So
sick.
yes, so or it comes to your character and things like that, which is completely different. Okay, you go home, you'll have relatives asking you, or you still haven't found anybody, and somebody would ask you to please cut some weight. I think it's because you're too chubby or you're too healthy. I think that's the new word
You're
that
too
people
nice.
use.
Yeah.
I think you need to lose some weight, you're too healthy. So probably that's when you'll find somebody. I remember somebody suggesting me, why don't you just marry a handicapped person, so that, the rest of your life, you'll have somebody. These are suggestions and, a lot of things that you get to hear. And then
All
just because,
unsolicited advice.
exactly. And they'll come from everywhere and anywhere. And, the first thing you meet anybody is, they'll ask you is, are you married? And I don't know how that is so relevant. I think would want to know the person as an individual first, right? Um, so yeah, how I've been dealing with it is, I listen with one ear and I just delete it with the other because they don't really make sense to me. B, my family's been pretty supportive. They are with me on my decisions. They understand that, um, unless I find the right person, I don't think I'll settle for anybody. I think that's pretty clear. It's nothing to do with, that somebody has some kind of flaws or whatever. So yeah, being single is tough, be it from, looking for a place for an accommodation where they'll have certain questions and they'll put a lot of conditions, no men, no
Especially
drinking,
the Northeast, right? A single.
especially Northeastern. Recently I went to buy a car as well. So obviously, I went alone. One is I could have asked a friend or somebody to come along, but, I'm very independent that ways. I know exactly what I want. I don't need somebody to tell me.
Mhm.
So I went to a number of dealers looking for a car, and I remember I had to wait in Tata Motors, because they were like, okay, she's come alone. I'm sitting and waiting over there. They wouldn't attend to me for about 15-20 minutes, and then so the next a person comes in, a sales guy comes in and says that, are you going to book the car today? So I was like, first, would you like to show me what you have so that I can make a decision. So, and then what I see is, on the other hand, there'll be a lot of attention to somebody who comes with the entire family, which I felt was so irresponsible in this, especially in this time of COVID, where you're supposed to be careful. And they're not able to deal with somebody who knows exactly what she wants. So, but luckily I got a good dealer, and they knew exactly, they were able to meet my expectations. So yeah, you have stigmas everywhere, where, people look at your age, and be it buying a ticket, flight ticket or whatever, they'll put a missus over there. Or you go take a doctor's appointment, again, they're asking your name, age, and then, prefix Mrs. comes along. And I'm like, why is this so important? And then I remember when I was in Saudi Arabia as well, I got lost, I was looking for direction. So I carefully went and asked, it was a family store. And the first question they asked me is husband, and I was like, how do people connect like this? And then I was blunt enough to say no. Then this person says, why don't you marry me? I was like, listen, not happening. You don't ask women like that. So yeah, I've faced situations like that where you are asking for direction and people are proposing you, where, doctor's giving you prescription and has already made you married, and
So I
these are,
remember, yeah, I remember going for my, car service in India, and both of us always did it on our own, right? And it was a very
right.
male-dominated space. And I remember these men would come and say, "हाँ, madam, आप अकेले आए हो? Have you come alone? Where's your husband?"
Yeah,
Yes, I'm going to
absolutely.
do it. It's my car. I know what needs to be done with it. We obviously needed to ensure that, we weren't, that people couldn't take advantage of us, but we did it.
The status of being single is not very easy, right? But I think as long as you are comfortable and the other person sees that, you'll be able to sail through. And I think just little bit of, bravery is what's required over here, and to enjoy it. because sometimes I enjoy telling people that I have a 20-year-old kid but I'm not married, and I like to shock people, things like that. And then later on they get to know she's actually not married at all, so I like to fool around and see how do they react.
Joke.
So
So the fact that you can just pack your bags and go wherever you want, right? I mean, there's no baggage of, having to tell 10 other people, and you live life in your own terms. So I think that way, and you've always been like that. I just wanted to bring that angle into this conversation because of, a lot of people don't talk about such things. But it's absolutely okay. It doesn't matter whether you're single or whether you are married or a divorcee or a widower or whatever it is, right? Just be
exactly.
comfortable in your own skin, like you said. So thank you so much for that, Aruna. And so
Thank you, Candy.
the really last segment is a message to my viewers, a quick short message to my viewers.
Okay. So the quick message from my side would be enjoy life, because doesn't matter whether you're single, you're married. I think being true to yourself. I think that'd be something which you will always cherish. Yeah. And taking your
Okay.
own decisions. Yeah.
Make your own decisions. All right. With that, we'll conclude the show. Thank you so much for your time. And again, I apologize for making you stay up so late in the night. You were wonderful. I knew this was going to be a power packed session, and it has been. So thank you very much and good night. Bye.
Thank you, Candy. Stay safe. Bye.
My learning from Aruna is to never compromise on what matters most to you. Own your mistakes and your decisions and take full responsibility. And to all my viewers, each of us can make a difference. Let's be kind to one another, irrespective of race, creed, or color. I request you to like, subscribe, and share. Ciao, and have a safe day. God bless everyone.